All right. Hey there, I'm Jason, and this time on AutoEdits, I'm gonna be sharing with you my favorite modification to do to a vehicle. It's something I do almost first on every vehicle I've owned. A longtime friend on the channel, IL, thank you for asking this question, said, why do you do exhaust on everything you own, and you do it like soon, like if not first. On the Jeep, it was the very first video I did on that thing. And the answer is fairly simple. The exhaust is that thing that every time you start your vehicle and as you drive your vehicle, it's the thing that surrounds you with the voice of the vehicle. That gives you all of the feedback of what the engine's doing. It's all of that stuff. And to me, changing from stock is super rewarding. This is one of those mechanical tasks I highly encourage beginners to do. This is something that with very few tools and some basic experience, you could get this done yourself, and that adds to the reward factor. So, we're gonna be working on the Range Rover Sport today, and this is an upgrade that you don't need a garage to do. I did the Jeep right there in the driveway. The most mechanically serious or involved thing here is getting the vehicle you're working on high enough to access the exhaust. So I have these ramps I got at the local auto parts store and just drove the Range Rover. I put it in 4-low and got the Range Rover up on these ramps, and making sure that it's stable, the vehicle that you're working on is stable, is the most technically important thing to do, so you're safe underneath the vehicle. The rest of this is super easy, goes right back to E. So I'm going just slightly beginner plus because of the safety factor, but otherwise, you don't need any advanced tools for this. Couple of sockets, that's about it. I'm gonna add a couple of pro tips into this thing because that's what I like to do for you guys. Get a set of these. These are exhaust hanger pliers, and what they do is they'll help get the rubber hanger off of the exhaust tabs here a little bit easier. They're very cheap at your local auto parts store. I'll see if I can find one to throw in the Amazon store. And you want some sort of penetrating spray to help lube those hangers, and also probably the bolts at the catalytic converters is something that you'll want to spray a little bit of something on, WD-40 type stuff. And a set of gloves, of course, but that's it. So because this is a relatively easy modification that changes such a dramatic interface between you and your vehicle and personalizes the voice of your vehicle, this is why I do this first to almost all of my vehicles. And an important thing to bring up is that my tastes in exhaust sound has changed as I've gotten older. My biggest thing and how I really got into the Magnaflow brand was the very first thing I did to my Jeep was I put the Flowmaster high clearance exhaust on it and loved it for years. And then as I got more advanced and a little bit older and the windows came off and the top came off and was Jeeping, I didn't like how barky and how loud that was. I just needed it toned down, where the exhaust didn't quite match the vehicle. That's one of those things as I got older, I got a little bit more refined in my tastes. And that kind of tunery V6 rasp that it had didn't match the power level and the vibe that I liked with the Jeep. In the past, when I was younger, loud meant gooder, and it didn't matter what kind of loud. And then now I'm a little bit more mature, and if your car's not fast or doesn't have a lot of power or doesn't back up the sound, that kind of resonates with me now. And so having the Jeep so loud and, you know, sporty sounding and it not really actually being that, kind of took away from it. So I went in and got the Magnaflow Overland, and it's still to this day the perfect exhaust. It checks all the boxes. It's high clearance, it goes right up exactly, tucks up high over the suspension and dumps in the rear, and has the perfect sound for what I think that vehicle needs for its sportiness level. And it's just quiet enough, but it's deep enough to give you some reward. But it's a V6, you gotta be realistic about that. Today, we're gonna be working with a pretty good little 5-liter V8 in this Range Rover Sport here. It's a very well actualized engine, so you have something nicer to start with. An interesting thing that we're doing here is the big theme of what I did to the Jeep with the Magnaflow kit was add a resonator. What made that ideal was the Magnaflow can with the resonator made it perfect. Now on the Range Rover here, we're going to be taking the resonators off of this and just going with the Magnaflow straight through can here with the X pipe in the front. So we're gonna just refine it and do two things. We're gonna be embracing the naturally good sound that this thing has and enhancing it, but not making it too loud, because this is still a GT, Grand Touring vehicle, and I want it to stay that way. It's not a sports car, it's not any of that stuff. This is going to, I'm confident, this is going to make this exactly where I want it to be. Doesn't sound bad already. We're just gonna make it sound a little bit better. Not louder, a little bit louder, but just good loud. Now about the Magnaflow kit for the Range Rover Sport here. This is all stainless steel stuff, so it's a high quality kit. This has the really nice polished stainless steel tips on it, so it's gonna definitely change up the look of these kind of squished square things here, which I'm not mad at. This look is a good look. I like it, but changing this to those will give me the indication as I walk up to the vehicle. Again, a big part of modifying your vehicle is when you walk up and you see these little cues of the things that you've changed, you love those things about it, and those mean a lot to you, and that's why this is such a big deal. Getting back into the nitty-gritty of this kit, having all of this stainless steel piping and all of the computer mandrel bent stuff here puts this into the top tier of exhaust kit category. So don't get into, this is not a budget thing. This is something that it actually matches this, even though this vehicle retail-wise isn't worth a ton right now. But it is a higher end vehicle, therefore this kit kind of reflects that. You can see all of the componentry, the flex pipes, all of this stuff is super top-notch high-end materials and should go in very easily. Let's find out. So the kit we're installing is called a catback system, and that's because here are the catalytic converters right here on this vehicle, and that they come to here, and so we'll be replacing from here back, right? Get that? So this is the first resonator right here. This would be the muffler, and then we have the twin tailpipes going back out to the back, and there are two more resonators back there. So let's go ahead and pull this stuff apart. Just put it on here and then push, and look at that. It just comes right off. Pretty amazing. Little stuff like this will just make your day so much easier. We'll just keep working our way back to get this thing out of here. There we go. This part right here is so fun to me, just looking at the difference. It's just such an obvious, fun modification slash upgrade that is just so bolt-on easy. Love it. All right, we'll get the slip fit on in position. We'll get this on so that supports that. Okay. Got to get our gasket in. So I did improvise in this one spot right here, since I just really want that secure, and I really like these band clamps. Remember that one time at band clamp? And so on the rear, on this spot right here, this clamp right here, there's a little spot weld on the original muffler. I just drilled that out, and then so I have this here. So you can see here the spot that I drilled out, and I'm gonna just rotate that up to there, and then tighten it into place. Let's go back up to the front. So now what I'm doing is I'm just, again, snugging things up just so things will stay supported. Not tight at all, but just so that I'm starting to get my eyeball. And now we're gonna move up to the front and get our flange tightened at the front, because that dictates the rest of this thing. And then we head on to the tailpipes and make it perfect, because that's how we roll in this garage. Now these can go tight because we are now starting from here. So this flange is important to me, so I have it as flush as I can get it, and it is now tight. This is now tight, and we will now slowly work our way towards the back, gaining perfection and tightening as we go. But as you can see right here, we have a nice solid support system for the main crossover pipe and muffler. In the middle here, same drill. What we'll do is I'm just gonna focus on making sure it's sitting flush here and that the twist is right. And we'll just put a nice tighten on this. This one has a little hanger on it, so you want to really make sure you got that dialed in. The instructions say that they want these pretty tight, and 40 pound-feet or foot-pounds is pretty tight. My calibrated elbow says that it's just about when they get all the way seated, just about like that. So pretty tight, one ooga-dooga. There you go. I think we have our exhaust tip about where we want it. It looks pretty good. That seems to be about where I want it there. Give it the ooga-dooga. And let's see how we got it from standing from the back. But a really quick check before you leave is you should be able to do this and not hear any rattles or clanks, right? And we're exactly there. So solid all the way to the end. Yoo-hoo! Yep, you gotta make sure it's spotless before your first startup. But as you can see, everything looks fantastic. Let's go on down the line here. I think it's about that time. Let's start it up. Well, it's definitely not as loud out of the tailpipes, at least from the seat, that I thought it was gonna be, but the inside has a definite tone, like a deeper roar to it. I say we drive it and see if it is a better Grand Tour than it was before. So after I finished that install, I did a quick rip around town and just went, oh my God, this is great. And I did, I loved it. But then I had to go to work before I edited it and had to commute in this thing, and it changed everything. I just couldn't settle just for that. And I just gotta say, it's even better. Is so ridiculously fun to drive. It's absolutely mind-boggling how with these little paddle shifters, the throttle response, the body roll control, this thing is really, really a lot of fun. I am over the moon with this. The exhaust on this is absolutely perfect. I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit more rowdy because of how many fewer components were in the exhaust. So many less resonators, all of that stuff. I'm having too much fun just being in the canyon with this thing. Like, where paddle shifters in an SUV make sense? Jeez. If you're getting it expecting that rowdiness, you're not going to get that with this one. And that's why it says touring in the description. Touring exhaust means something that you can endure for a long time. And that's why I wanted to do a whole other talk, like review section here, because I spent an hour each way going to work yesterday in this thing, and it was just so much fun. It was nice. It was quiet. I didn't hear it at all. I had a combination of freeway, traffic, bumper to bumper, city stuff, and it just had a little bit of all of the things, and it was perfect in all of them. And yet, if I ever dipped my foot into the throttle, it just reminded you, just in the back of the vehicle there, that you had something special. Listen, okay, here we go. We got a tunnel. So I really want to just hit on that point that I'm even happier than in that moment of the honeymoon of just installing it in my first drive in it. It's even better implemented into my daily life. It fits this vehicle perfectly, and yet it just speaks to where I want to be and what makes me happy. Just having that deep tone coming out of the back, a little bit of burble as I downshift there, but not enough to be intrusive. And then that rich tone. I think Magnaflow just nailed that. Oh my gosh. So is this exhaust for this particular vehicle a home run? Absolutely. But this video is mostly about me trying to encourage any one of you guys to try this upgrade. This is not a hard upgrade, but it is such a high reward one. Just pay attention, get your vehicle safely high enough so you can get underneath and do this, but get out, find an exhaust for your vehicle and do this. You will be so happy. Look at my face. This is amazing. So thank you guys so much for coming along on this one. I got lots more coming up. Make sure you're subscribed, like this video for me, and until next time, enjoy your drive. I sure am.